The first time I was seen at the Rainier Regent, it wasn't the good kind. I don't pay you to stand where VIPs can see you. The CEO said, two fingers flicking me toward the service hallway, like I was a smudge on the marble. I pushed my squeaky cart away, cheeks hot, telling myself to swallow it and keep moving. Clean towels, crisp sheets, smile small, stay out of the photos. Downtown Seattle glittered through the glass, money moving in quiet shoes, and I kept my head down because uniforms talk louder than people. You know what I mean. 10 minutes later, the building changed temperature. Radios crackled, heels sped up, voices got smooth the way they do when panic is a guest, and everyone is pretending it has a reservation. The Arabic interpreter was snowed in at SeaTac. The Muscat delegation was already downstairs. The contracts read like two different stories, and if the meeting slid to tomorrow, the deal would fly south with them. Nora from guest services ducked into the back corridor, eyes sharp, asking if I'd seen Whitaker. That's our CEO. And I said I try not to. She didn't laugh. She sighed, turned to go, and I made the mistake of translating a phrase under my breath. Just a reflex, just the language waking up in me, like it had been napping behind my ribs. She froze. You speak Arabic, I said. I used to college was a while ago. Then she handed me a phone with a PDF that looked like a brick and said, Read this. It was like my old self sat up. My back got straight, my eyes stopped searching for dust, and the words unrolled in my head, the way a map opens when you remember where you're going. Section 5 is liability under Omani Commercial Code, I heard myself say, and the English summary says usage rights, while the Arabic points to transfer of title after conditions. Big difference. I pointed to a currency conversion that would have cost us thousands, and I watched belief flicker in Nora's face like a pilot light. You're coming with me, she said. Nora, I'm wearing housekeeping. Then I'm buying you a blazer, she said, already pulling me toward the elevator. Yeah, that happened. The boardroom felt colder than the lobby, wall-to-wall glass, and 10 people who looked like they never forget names. Before Whitaker could frame me as a last resort, the lead investor spoke. Good morning, I am Faris Almadi and you are, and he asked it like a real question. I told him my name said I could help if they'd let me, and he switched languages without blinking, tapping a clause dense with words most folks skip. We had a choice, pretend and drown or tell the truth and swim, so I told the truth. Intifa is use and benefit, milk is ownership. If you leave it vague, everyone smiles until the first payment, and then the lawyers start eating. He did a small, almost smile. We kept going. Finance came and I explained why riba, interest, won't fly, how a musharaka turns debt into shared equity, how returns align with performance instead of calendars, and the CFO. God bless him said, so if the marina thrives, we thrive, like he'd just found a 20 in last winter's coat. I didn't just translate words, I translated how they live. How a nod can mean more than a signature in the right room, how Bithni Allah isn't a shrug, it's humility with commitment. 2 hours later, we had something like a thaw. Faris shook my hand and said in Arabic, then English for Whitaker's benefit. Competence is a language understood in every country. I went back to my floor wearing Nora's blazer over my housekeeping polo, the radio still buzzing in my ear, and I knew nothing about that day was finished. Buildings split when stories like this move through them. Maria from laundry touched 2 fingers to her heart for me in the hallway. The bellman nodded like they'd always known, and then there were the other looks. Jenny from operations with the stretched smile, Vince from risk, with a folder of reasons HR with phrases like chain of custody and liability exposure, and me sitting there thinking I just saved your morning while you decide if it's legal to admit it. Whitaker finally looked at me instead of past me and asked, Can you handle tomorrow because Faris's partner was landing? Stakes were tripling, and everything would have to happen before Wheels Up. I can, I said, but you have to stop introducing me as housekeeping. He almost smiled, almost, like the corner of his mouth had heard a rumor about growth. The second negotiation felt like weather. The partner, Sheikh Sami al-Harthi, walked in with 3 more investors and eyes that measure, not judge. He spoke fast when he cared, and today he cared, laying out values that were more than marketing. Protect the shoreline, hire the neighborhood, make the contract say what the website brags. On our side, people started shuffling ESG talking points, like they were looking for a lost receipt, and I stepped in before the whole thing tipped. He's not asking for a slogan, I said softly in Arabic first, then English. He's asking for guardrails with teeth. I tied his principles to our public neutrality pledge not as a press release but as binding language we would feel in the numbers and earn in the water, and you could feel the room exhale. Then came the phrase that always scares Western ears, Bithni Allah. And if you translate that like a robot, it sounds non-committal, but if you translate it like a person from the place, it means we are fully committed while acknowledging storms exist. Planes get grounded. Life doesn't care about your Gantt chart. Legal nodded, Sammy nodded. Even Vince from Risk did a little you win this one tilt of his head. Money structure tightened next. A Mudaraba tranche for tech profit for expertise instead of cash cleaner than what we'd pitched. And the CFO laughed at himself, that good laugh that lets oxygen back into a room. Through the glass, I could still see Jenny and Vince with their arms crossed, referees hunting a foul, and I thought some folks only look for reasons to say no, so give them none. 4 hours later, we had a signed agreement for $180 million. Performance-aligned culture, respected numbers that meant something under sunlight. And Sammy shook Whitaker's hand, then mine, saying, "You did not translate words, you translated intention. That is the difference between a bridge and a dictionary." I finally let my shoulders drop. That night, the ballroom filled with the whole layered mess of a hotel. Housekeepers beside managers, cooks with concierge security by engineering. Everyone pretending the floor wasn't shifting. Whitaker took the mic and did the hardest part for a man like him. He told the truth. 2 days ago, I corrected Ms. Bennett for being seen, he said, eyes level. Turns out being seen was the point. The room murmured that surprised, relieved sound, and he called me up there. Ferris handed me a small wooden box with a fountain pen inside Arabic along the barrel, his grandfather's used to sign deeds for the first ship, and the engraving read, "Words make bridges." He said it belonged with a builder, not a collector, and I swear something in my chest that had been tight since Georgetown finally let go. Whitaker announced a title that hadn't existed that morning, Director of Global Partnerships and Cultural Strategy, and a salary that made Maria clap before she remembered she was supposed to be cool. He promised skills assessments for every employee, tuition support, for night classes, interviews, designed to find the thing people hide because it doesn't fit on their name tag. Jenny looked thoughtful. Vince looked like he'd discovered a clause in his own life. 3 months later, the lobby got a plaque. "Excellence exists in every uniform. Our job is to find it," and photos of folks who moved because someone asked them what else they could do. Miguel from maintenance greeting a Brazilian delegation in fluent Portuguese, Jasmine from banquets catching a 6-figure error in accounting because someone gave her the spreadsheet and the time of day. The metrics look good. International satisfaction up, overseas revenue more than doubled. But the real math is softer. Maria enrolling in night classes, new hires sitting taller when I tell them what my name tag used to say, Whitaker stopping by my office, a converted storage room with a plant I keep alive on accident, to say, if you don't make space at the table, the smartest person in the building will end up cleaning it. He apologized for the lobby. I told him to make sure I'm not the last person he has to apologize to. I could wrap this up with a bow, but that wouldn't be honest. There are still days someone calls me housekeeping. When I walk into a meeting, I'm leading still folks who think my promotion was a stunt. Still managers who introduce me like a discovery instead of a colleague. But there are also moments that make the noise small. A tired father's shoulders dropping. When Miguel switches languages, a junior analyst grinning because Jasmine taught her how to catch a hidden liability. A new housekeeper whispering that my story made her dust off her college transcripts. So here's the part people argue about. Was it fair that I walked from a shift into a boardroom and came out with a title others train years to get, or was it finally fair that the thing I trained years to do got used where it mattered, regardless of what I was wearing? You tell me. Do uniforms protect standards, or do they hide talent because it makes standard keepers uncomfortable? If you've seen someone written off because of a job title, or if you've been that person, drop your story in the comments. Push back if you think I'm wrong, defend it. If you think I'm right, argue about merit and ladders and what fairness looks like on a Tuesday. If this hit a nerve, like subscribe, share it with someone who needs a nudge to look up from the name tag and see the person. I'll be in the comments listening.